to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen. With me on the show today, Debbie G and Neo Positivity. This is your daily dose of happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today. And we're especially happy that Stacie Clenet is joining us once again on the Return Movement. So good to have you back. How you doing there, lady? You're doing good. You're looking good.
Thank you. Great. Having so much fun. This is just a great day.
It is a great day. It's a wonderful. Hey, I got to tell you something about something that's been going on. Starting this month last year, I started doing Dan Mangana's Money Game as an experiment to see, okay, I'm going to do it live here on the show and report on results as it goes along. And it's been like 7 months since my last entry in my little journal that I'm keeping on it, which just goes to show you never know when stuff's going to happen. But stuff finally did happen. And I got to tell you this story because most of the time what we're talking about here is like surprise money, fun money that just kind of shows up, right? This is fun money that showed up, but it took 5 months to show up, which is really strange when you think about it. But here's the way the story goes. I completed the first phase, so the first 5 steps of his money game. I was on phase 6, which that's the one I was currently working on that I just finished up. I'm getting ready now for phase 7. Phase 6, now, for those who don't remember, the way the money game works is you basically build up what Dan calls your edge. In other words, you reach higher and higher levels of money that you're attracting as fun money out of thin air. And in phase 2, you're actually increasing your edge by 20% over your last edge, over your last result, actually. So it can accelerate fairly quickly. My last edge was $300. And you would think $300 wouldn't be all that difficult, but it took 7 months for it to show up. But it showed up in the form of over $2,000. So, I mean, like Stacie, you and I were talking before the show about roller coaster. There's the roller coaster we were talking about. Like, boom! Oh my goodness, where did that come from? And the way it showed up from the government. Because here in the United States, there have been a number of different stimuluses that have happened. One of the things that happened in the latest stimulus, which happened last February, I think it was that they decided retroactively to refund any tax money from 2020 that you paid on unemployment. And for the first time in my life, I collected unemployment last year. I had never collected unemployment. Last year, I collected unemployment. So this year, we were due to get back between the federal government and the state government about $2,000 in taxes. And that was like completely unexpected. I planned very carefully, and I had not planned for that one at all. So I knew in February it was coming, and it took 5 months to get here. Because the federal government, being what it is, it took forever to get here. But it arrived. And I'm thinking, this is an amazing game, because not only do you get crazy stuff happening, but you don't even know what the time frame is going to be. I mean, I never really thought, have you guys ever thought of an instant manifestation taking 5 months? I mean, seriously, the idea is that it's instant, right? That's what it's supposed to be. It's instant, but it took 5 months. Like, okay.
So I'm curious. Do you think that has to do with your vibrational pool? You've also been doing Taya. So yeah. I'm thinking that maybe your spiral is in a different, like you're up your spiral so much that you're blissing out, man.
Well, I think there's a lot of truth to that. I mean, I've had a lot of reasons to bliss out. I love the term. I've also been down the spiral way down a couple of times. It's been a roller coaster in that way as well. But I don't know. I'm just still trying to get my head around a 5-month instant manifestation. Somehow that's just kind of messing with my brain today.
Can I chime in on this?
Yeah, go ahead.
As part of the 13 years I've been studying obsessively and trying different things, I went down this time frame path. And one of the things I learned was, I guess you could say to whom much is given, much is tested. The bigger things you want out of life, lottery win, is going to require more energy. In other words, more time, more of your energy dollars. I like to say every second you're alive, God or the universe, whatever you believe in, gives you one energy dollar every moment to spend on what you want. And so you're spending those energy dollars. To whom much is given, much is tested. You want a lottery win, you're going to have to spend a lot of energy dollars versus a cheeseburger, which would require less energy dollars. But I learned something along the way. your expectation level of how fast, how swiftly, or how easily, or how difficult that $1 million gets to you is what's going to dictate how long it takes. So the instant manifestation could have been instant if you truly expected it to be instant. However, maybe you were busy, maybe stuff was going on, maybe.
Well, actually, I listened to the politicians. They told me it was going to take 5 months, and so I believed them.
When you got proof like that, and that was a huge part of my manifesting journey. It's what made me kind of get rid of time, because I was like, all right, well, no matter the time frame is based off of my expectation, how much I believe I'm actually going to get this. So why not shoot for today or tomorrow? Why keep shooting for months and weeks? Like when people say they have an 18-month plan, I'm like, ooh, like what if it doesn't work? You just wasted over a year. Like I just don't like stuff like that. I think 30 days. 30 days, you should be able to manifest basically anything except for $1 billion or world domination. Crazy stuff like that. I'm down to somewhere between 14 and 16 days, whether it be a lawnmower, an airplane, a car, whatever the situation is. Around that time frame, I could pretty much get any material thing that's in my normal scope of price range. Now, for me to all of a sudden try to get a $500,000 Lamborghini, obviously my ego, my mind, my subconscious is going to fight me every time I try to bring that in.
Which is part of the reasons why you do the money game in the first place, because it's about expanding that edge, expanding that range of believability.
But I believe that time frame was totally you're doing 100%. It was the only reason it wasn't instant is because the government, who's proven to be right a lot of times in our minds, put that thought out there, put that into your mind, and then you got it in 5 months. Quick example for me was I was actually looking for an extra, I don't know what it was, $2,000. I was looking to buy something. I don't even remember what it was. But I was like, I'm going to manifest that real quick. And I heard about the stimulus check, and I was like, bet, let's go. All of a sudden, they didn't say it was the first one. It was next month. Then it was next month. And I was like, I got to manifest this another way. And I said, well, wait a minute. I'm manifesting $2,000, not how I'm getting it. Next thing you know, $2,000 popped up out of nowhere. A month later, the stimulus came with another $2,000. And that's that multiplier right there. So
that's true. Yeah.
That's my spiel on that.
That's good. That's really good. Let's go to the Taya coach, Coach Stacie. What's your take on this?
Well, it's interesting because I love Debbie's approach as curiosity. For me, the curiosity that comes up is is time really linear?
Oh.
And again, I think there's very much in that concept of your belief system and how the government has been right in the past, and so believing that that's going to take as long as it's going to take.
Well, I think it's kind of interesting that I believe the government at all, because my history is to not believe the government.
Well, yeah, that is interesting. Because what's
it is.
What's that subconscious or unconscious thought that's still playing in the background?
I don't know. I haven't quite figured that one out. But
we all have an underlying belief in the government because it definitely exists. It definitely dictates our life, and so that kind of overshadows how much you might not like it or believe they're telling the truth at this moment or believe they're going to get done at this moment. So that's like a super duper overlying foundation, because every second that you've been alive, all of us that have lived in America our whole lives, the government has been somewhere in the background, either monitoring, how much we recycle,
yeah, right.
how much emissions is coming from certain cars. They've always been there swinging the iron fist. So I think that was probably the grasp that made you hold on to 5 months. And we all know if they say 5 months, it's usually like 7, 8, and that makes it worse. So yeah, and
well, that's the other interesting part of it. I wasn't worried about it being 5 months. It's not like I needed that money, because this is fun money.
That's the other vibratory aspect of it. Like you weren't in a need space. You didn't care if it came tomorrow, the next day, or maybe
no difference
down the line.
I gotta add to that real quick. The only reason you got it was because you didn't worry. That's the only reason. Had you worried about it, you'd still be waiting for it. Trust me.
I'd probably be, I'd be on the phone with the IRS. Where the heck's my money?
Worry. The biggest waste of time on the planet known to mankind. How many hours have I wasted on the worry wart? As a matter of fact, it's so down the spiral stuff. It's like, well, I'm really worried that this is going to happen. I'm worried. Well, this is what I'm worried about. This is like, you ever listen to yourself talk? Like, did you ever? I used to talk like that before. I don't now. I don't do that now, but I used to. So if you catch yourself, well, I'm worried about blah, blah, or the problem is.
Yeah, that's always a bad way to start a sentence. The problem is.
And I'm like,
leaving, right?
Yeah, right.
The problem is there's a problem in the first place. So I'm wondering, how could we shift worry? How could we shift the problem into, hey, I was thinking about this, and I find that if I'm worrying about something, it's because somewhere along the line I haven't spoken my truth about how I really am feeling in the moment, because there's no safety in that. So I'm just curious, like, how do you guys get out of your worry wart? How do you release and let go and allow those things that you're wanting?
Fits this.
Worry more. Worry more. No, that's why I say that. You guys know, fear is my biggest technique. If anytime I find myself worried about anything, it immediately gets overshadowed by the fact that worrying is going to make stuff worse. And that pulls me out of that funk immediately, because I know it's on the line. My future.
No joke, right?
That's the only thing that's worked for me 100%.
That's cool. I went through a thing about 2 years ago where I have an IT background, and when you have an IT background, people find out about it, people in your life who are close to you, because then you become the person to call if the computer doesn't work, or if the iPhone doesn't work, or the tablet doesn't work, or whatever else. And what I found myself in was a space where it was a barrage, like not just daily, hourly stuff was falling apart, failing, people calling me on the phone, my own computer giving me problems, all kinds of, it was just like one technical, here on the show was experiencing issues. That if I remember correctly, during that time period, we were having experiences where the show itself was like blipping out halfway through, or the recordings weren't being recorded, or there was distortion going on, or somebody's mic didn't work, or it was just like this endless series of problems. And I don't remember which one of my co-hosts it was, and maybe Cindy, I'm not sure. One of them talked with me afterward and pointed out to me that I was extremely focused on problems. Maybe I should be focused on solutions. And it was like a V8 moment. Slap the forehead with the palm of your hand, like, oh my God, I've been focusing on problems. And you know what? I started focusing on the solutions that week, and all of them stopped. They stopped cold right then and there. So my answer is, don't focus on problems, focus on solutions. They're much easier.
Yeah.
Well, and the Taya practice, Walt, is, how can you appreciate your obstacles?
That's true.
It's radical appreciation for the fact that you created that obstacle. You created that wait time. And then roll it back.
And I'm good at it too.
You're good at it too. and what's the appreciation? What's the lesson there? How can you kick the vibe up around it and realize that you were slightly in the way of the universe?
Slightly? What do you mean slightly?
My God.
Go for it.
She's trying to be nice here, dude. Like a lot. Just let it. Receive the shit. Receive it.
Should have just called him a clogged drain. Tub stopper.
Oh, no problem with that. Right?
By the way, Walt, if any of these cameras or microphones act up, it's your fault.
Just saying, and I posted in the comments in case anybody misses it. Y'all know who to call if you got IT issues.
Yes, right. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Walt's got the solution.
What was that? I can't hear you guys anymore.
terrible.
Nah, I'm playing.
So Stacie said a key word. How can you appreciate it, or what can you accept where you're at, and how can you appreciate where you're at? Where's that silver lining? Where's that silver lining in what's happening? I've had experiences recently where I am okay, Stacie, you guys are gonna laugh. She's gonna laugh because this is so Taya. I'm observing the polarity and laughing at it, going, "Oh, you rock." Let's see. I'm looking at it going, let's just see what you're going to show me, because this is the deal. Like everything that comes up that looks dark is going to show you anything that you're even, and I just can't even get over this. Cause look, we all know, that a diamond, and I've said this before, is created out of pressure, but we don't judge the coal it's in. We don't judge the encasing. We don't judge any of that. We're just, we appreciate the diamond. And so the encouragement is, how can you appreciate the diamonds in your life when you can't actually see them? Can you appreciate them when they're still encased in some stuff?
Well, I appreciate Debbie's form of language, I have to say. I really do.
I think a side little analogy on that was, if you're the diamond, it's going to be hard to appreciate. It's dark. It's cold. You're being smashed for hundreds of years, thousands of years. So I guess that would be a good analogy for that. I always think to the person in the deepest, darkest place, like where I used to work at as a cop, poorest city in America. And you got people in just horrible situations that they don't have nothing to smile about. And I asked this female once, come on, you got to have something. And she's like, 3 jobs, 3 kids, 3 baby daddies, all of them in jail. I'm not getting no support. I got to do this. I'm running around constantly. She didn't have time to breathe. And I said, you got to find something. And she refused. And I said, listen, we're not going to get nowhere unless you open up a little bit. And she said, you know what? I'm a great effing mom. Ooh. And I was like, hold on to that. Yeah. Now, I didn't see her for a while. It was about 6 months, 8 months later. She was doing speaking gigs at the community center, talking about females, empowering females and all that other stuff, and kids, after school programs involved in all the PAL, police athletic associations and stuff like that. And I'm like, wow, she took what felt good, just that sentence. I'm a great mom.
Right.
And she anytime she was going through something, she held on to that. And then she took that inspired action and followed the steps. Yes, her schedule was packed. She didn't have time to go speak at the community center. But now she going to the community center, she getting paid enough to quit all 3 of those jobs. And that's how it comes about once you take that inspired action specifically, because you start taking all kind of other actions, whatever your mind throws at you. You got to be able to separate them and know which one is the right one. It's usually the one that feels good. Yep. When it feels best and benefits the most people, that's the one that's the way you should be going.
Regardless of who it benefits, if it doesn't feel good to you, you're not going to create anything, because you have to be in a higher vibe in order to create. Otherwise, you're still going to go along that same old path of creating the same old caca, the same old obstacles, the same old stuff that brings you down. It's taking that step up, like you said, into appreciation. Just that little raise of the vibe can catapult you up to even higher, to a space where you're creating divinely. Because you got that flow, you got that source coming through. It's automatically there. You don't have to struggle to make it happen. And yes, that is a big challenge. Where can we find appreciation? It wasn't the biggest challenge for me when I was going through the boot camp program at TIA. I appreciate my obstacles that I created. Seriously? I mean, it took me a while. I was a year and a half out of the program, graduated the rest of my life, and I still. Can you describe that again? It was a real stumbling block for me. But once I was able to fully appreciate the beauty of an obstacle, the space, the spark that's within that trip up problem, long period of time that we manifest until the money shows up, there's beauty in there. There's clarity, and there's an ability to discern that you normally don't have. when everything's just all peachy keen. So
Hey Neil, I gotta ask you to put a headphone on or something because you're getting an echo coming through there, and it was actually interfering with Stacie's mic. That's why I muted you for a second there.
I saw that. I was like, hold on, let me see if I can grab something.
Yeah, that's why, because as soon as I muted you, all of a sudden her voice came in stronger.
All right, is it still happening now?
Well, it happens when she talks, not when you talk.
Oh, do I have background noise I need to deal with?
It's not you.
Okay.
There was a loop from you coming through Neo's mic.
So it's still happening.
I think it's it's a little bit there. Are you hearing it, Debbie?
Yep.
You're hearing it. Okay.
I see, because he's listening to the broadcast as well as he's talking into his mic, so that's coming around.
Yeah, it's looping through the mic. Yeah.
Well, it's probably coming out of your speakers there,
Right.
and which is probably why that is giving the feedback. So that's why the headphones are.
Yeah, headphones are a good solution for that.
Now we're all tech geniuses, not just one.
That's right. See, I'm not the only IT guy now.
Okay. Call Walt. Call Walt. I love that. Oh my God.
Well,
that's great.
It doesn't matter. You can call me now because my answer is going to be look for the solution. That's the whole answer. Stop looking for the problem. Look for the solution. It's real simple.
Where?
Look for the solution. Well, actually, let's talk about. Sometimes you can't see the solution. Sometimes you can't. No matter how hard you look and you want to see, you can't see.
Joe Sliker, 1-800-WALT-FIX. I just got to mention that one. That's great.
Oh, Jesus. Thank you, Joe. 1-800-WALT-FIX. Actually, Walt, you should see if that's available. It's not.
No. I'm not doing that.
Oh, the Walt-FIX. I kind of love that.
That's not a solution. That's a problem creator. I don't need a problem creator. I want solutions.
I love that. That was great. What do you do with people if you're out there in the real? I'm in a bubble, and I call that world out there. There's a world out there. I know because I go to the grocery store and I go out places, but I'm not in that. You ever feel like you're just not in? You're in your own bubble, kind of thing. You know, in your own little universe, and you're just and you're like that, and then someone comes up at you and they're fully in whiny, complaining, victim mode, and you know they're in whiny, complaining, victim mode, and you don't want to just ambulance their asses straight up because you just want to be compassionate, right? Even though you just got to take a breath. I'm curious, how can we show up for people who are in, besides telling them they need to get their ass into tie it, for real, but they're in a space where they think the whole world is against them. How do you guys pull that out? How do you remind someone of their greatness? Because I feel like when people are in their hurting spaces, and I want to recognize Neo for how he showed up actually to help this woman remember her greatness, and that's really why we're here. So how do we do that when people are out there hurting right now? There's a lot of them. They're all convinced that the whole world is against them. It is like the sky's falling.
Well, so Neo actually did something. He didn't make it part of his story, but I could tell just the way he told the story that it was a part of it. He read her. He had like a feeling, a sense just from talking to her, what was going on in her mind right at that moment in time. And when he got that, it just kind of intuitively comes to you. This is how I need to respond to her. So his immediate response was basically, I read that she has this thing she can focus on. I just got to find a way to get her to focus on it. So I'll just ask her point blank, what's the one thing you can think of? And she thought of, I'm a great mom. But he got there kind of intuitively. Tell me if I'm wrong, Neil. You picked up from her that was something that she was going to be able to respond on. Well, you're muted. Let's try the unmute here. There we go.
I knew she wasn't. I didn't know she was going to say the whole mom situation. In the back of my mind, that's the go-to for everybody, even if they're a terrible mom. They think they're a great mom. But if they got nothing else going on in life, that's the last resort. I'm a great father. I'm a great mother. Hold up. But anyway, I knew she was going
my Bertha human.
I knew she was going to find something. And I just had to dig deep enough, not even dig deep enough. I had to get her to get over the fact that there was nothing to find. Like at the end of the day, you're breathing, and we all know someone who is not.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people take that for granted. Like, oh, well, I can't use that every day. Yeah, you can. If you got someone close enough to you that passed away, you definitely can. And there's all kind of other stuff go on. You might be hungry, but you've eaten today. Or if not, you ate last night. There's something bright about your future, and that is that you are in control and you're not going to manifest this BS anymore. There's so many things that you can hold on to, but it's not like tie a knot at the end of the rope and hang on. I hate that expression because I liked climbing ropes as a kid. And, if I was tired and I was able to tie a knot and hold on, eventually I would fall. My muscles would give up. The rope would hurt. I would eventually fall. I don't like the idea of tying a knot and holding on. If I'm going to tie a knot, it's only just so I can go up a little bit higher and tie another knot underneath me. And so that's my take on that. But there's always something. There's always something. And I knew I'd be able to pull something out of everybody.
I knew you would too. Yeah. And you just kind of sense it. Stacie, you're a coach. You do a lot of coaching in Taya. I mean, you helped me a few weeks ago. You tapped in instantly to one particular idea. I'm sure it came to you quickly, and I'm sure it came through some vibe I was giving off, some message, something like that.
Again, I think it's all a matter of perspective. And if you are in a dark place, if you're feeling depressed, if you feeling hopeless, you are down your spiral. You're in the lower vibratory area. The things that have worked for me in the past and continue to work when I get funky is nature. Just stepping outside and noticing a bird flying by. And there's lots of birds. Clouds, the sun shining on you, feeling it on your skin. And keep coming back to the body and the body sensations. Breathing deeply into your body, feeling your body in that moment. Once you start breathing deeply, you can't start to worry. You've already captured your attention in that moment into your physical form.
Can I ask you something about the Taya thing? You guys all three been through it, right? I know that it takes a certain mindset, a certain type of person, or mindset, I should say, for you to see a bird and appreciate it. I'm venture to say 75 to 80% of the people in the world would laugh at us for saying that because they see a bird and it's just flying. They got bills, they got gas, they got to get on the way home, they got all this other stuff. So in the boot camp, obviously you don't just tell people straight away, hey, look at that bird and appreciate it. How do you break them out of that rat race cycle in order to be able to appreciate a grass growing beautifully, a tree dancing in the wind? How do you guys get that across to the beginners that aren't there yet at all?
Again, like you're saying, it does require a specific mindset. You have to have the very basic awareness that this isn't working for me right now. I would like to change. So I can't run into a situation where there's a lot of poverty and there are people suffering and haven't eaten and their kids don't have shoes, and I can't walk in there and preach a bunch of stuff about, look at the trees, aren't they gorgeous? They're all going to just want to shoot me. It's like you have to approach it in the place of being met. That other person has to meet me halfway, and then I can start to illuminate things for them. And like Walt said, it is a very intuitive thing for me. I've been an intuit my entire life, an empath. Did psychic readings way back when I was younger. A body worker. I could play with physical energy. So I can look at somebody and get a sense of, look, there's like, you and I talked about this yesterday, a little chink in the armor. Can I plant a seed here? Neo loves the watering the seed analogy. I think it's beautiful, and it's very true. You have no idea when you put that seed there whether it's going to flourish or not. All you can do is bless it, give it hope. If you think about that person later on down the line, you can send them some good energy. But it is that basic willingness. I want to change the way I'm feeling now. I don't like it anymore. You have to hit rock bottom.
Yeah, it's also worth noting too, David Strickle, who of course is the originator through the stream of Thai boot camp and the whole Thai practice. really emphasizes that he doesn't even let somebody come into the program who hasn't already done a lot of work, who hasn't already made a lot of progress where LOA is concerned.
Yeah.
It's very
it's not real. It's not a program for beginners. It's a program for advanced souls who need to go to the next step.
But we do have platforms that you can jump in and get a ton of free content. The Taya Facebook practice page, Taya practice page. Look us up. It's awesome because you can start wherever you're drawn to. You want to do a little meditation? Check that out. You want to listen to people talk? You want to see Walt show up and Debbie G and myself chatting with David? If you want to just listen to him channel, there's some channeling on there, which is really kind of amazing and unusual. If you want to interact with people who are, again, how to grasp those laws of attraction, the threads of it, and to start pulling them in to create a ball of awareness for yourself so it can build and build and build. But yes, we are very blessed and spoiled that we get people that are like, I'm ready to do this now in Taya.
Yes. And it's powerful. It's very, very powerful.
It is.
Totally. And I the thing about Taya that I love is that it's community. I think more than anything. So we are the product of who that we chill with, man. We're the product of who we're hanging with. If you better raise your standards, if what you're doing in your life isn't working, the one thing about Taya is you are raising your standards because you're involved in community, a community that is there all striving after the same types of goals. And that is to live an extraordinary life. Actually, it's to realize you're living an extraordinary life and have it become more extraordinary is really the key. But the fact is, it happens by us interacting with each other. We are each other's catapult to success. You first make a decision, and then you do that action with intention. Absolutely right. But the decision-making factor is beautiful. I also feel that it's kind of nice to talk to lighthearted and like-minded people all the time. You don't have to explain yourself. You're not having to spend hours upon hours trying to be understood. Don't even ask me why I would even do that, but because I still have my stuff I work through. So yeah, I may still do that. I may still find myself having those things, but now I look at that observation of beauty to see where my growth is needed. Then I have my Taya community to go to and say, okay, y'all ready for this? Let's do it. When I was going through Taya, I'd be like, okay, y'all ready for this is what's happening now. And then it was just, yeah, but you're creating your reality. So the biggest thing is that if you have if you're willing to be self-responsible for your own stuff, responsible for yourself, not if you are willing to no longer say the world is doing this to me, if you're no longer willing to blame your boyfriend, your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, your dog, okay, actually blame, period, wipe it out because you're not also to blame, rather than to look at that you could create your life differently. And the reason I dig Taya myself is because I got the tools to do that. And without your pillars, because Stacie said that earlier today, without those pillars, without those tools, without the foundational platform, it gives us a structure. Us humans like that. Well, I don't like structure all that much, but I know it's necessary.
You do. I was the same
way.
Actually, structure. I actually thrive in an environment.
We all do.
Boundaries. It's so much easier for me to exist. And going back to what you said, like when you're depressed, when you're in a dark space, you have a tendency to isolate, and that's a huge problem too. Because as humans, we love to be a part of a group, part of a family, having friends, having workmates, having a church or a community that we can interact with, again, like Debbie Stain, with like-minded folks. That would be one of my other first steps. If you're dark and depressed and you're feeling shitty about your life, then you're going to want to find somewhere that you feel safe, where you can interact with other humans, where you can share what's going on for you.
I want to jump in real quick because that actually is perfect. The Neo Positivity Starts to Become Things Summit group on Facebook has been it's been a place for information on the summit. I originally started it not as that. I wanted it to be a place for exactly what Stacie's talking about. If you were to go in there or get a notification that something was posted in there at 10 in the morning and you go in there, I want you to see something that reminds you to get back on your grind. Wake up more often, stop and smell the roses, whatever the situation is. So I want to get community involved and give them something to look forward to when they go on there every day, as far as remember to do all these techniques that are, so hard to remember to do. So yeah, definitely jump in the group. The summit is tomorrow. Everybody, neosloasummit.com.
Talk about it. Tell us about it.
Everyone you see on this screen is going to be there. In addition to some real heavy hitters. We're getting closer and closer. I'm telling you, by the next 2 summits, it should be the entire cast of The Secret. Literally. That should be the summits, and then bigger from there. It's just amazing. I had an amazing group of people. We're going to be rocking and rolling, talking about everything we've been talking about in the last summit. We're going to be keying on parenting this time around. So if anybody has any parenting techniques that they want to bring to the table, it's going to be lightning rounds. We got a ton of people who's going to actually be in the Zoom call instead of just on Facebook and YouTube and all these other platforms watching. So it's going to be pretty dope. Everybody just come. What did I put in here? Oh, I wanted to say something about the whole plant analogy. Has anyone ever tried to grow something? It's hard. Very hard. And you plant the seed, you water it, and sometimes it doesn't work out the way you thought. That kind of sounds really familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, that's part of what gardening is all about. And I am not a gardener. I run a gardening business, but I'm not a gardener. We've got a whole bunch of gardeners who do the gardening. Thank goodness. Otherwise, I'd be in trouble. But the fact is, gardening is an experimental business. And the best gardeners are constantly experimenting. So you're right in line with it. That's exactly right. It's put it in the ground and see what comes up. The one thing that does not work where gardening is concerned is to try to figure out the garden first. You simply have to start gardening. If you try to garden without doing the gardening, you're not actually learning anything. You're just kind of hoping that something's going to show up at some point.
I'm curious, what happens like if you plant your seeds, okay, and you're watering them? What happens if you see that, oh my God, they sprouted? Oh, look at that. I've got these little carrots in the garden there. I see all these little carrots. What happens if you pluck them early?
Then you pluck them early.
They ain't no good. They ain't no good.
You get little tiny, you get baby carrots that way.
Okay, so no, they're not even baby carrots. They're no carrots because
that's
she's
right,
back. Because they're no carrots at all. What they are is no patience.
Yeah.
We have to be patient when we're cultivating our garden, when we're cultivating our life. We're just in this big hurry, and it's like I've got to the point now. It took me 53 years to be where I'm at. Thank you. And slow your roll. Just slow your roll. Slow it down. And really just when you're in appreciation, you're not over there wanting to pluck your carrots out too early. When you're in appreciation, you're in observation mode. Appreciation is the movement of gratitude. Grateful beingness.
Even if you do pluck them early, I mean, you right, you really don't want to pluck them early, but even if you do pluck them early, don't worry about it. Just plant some more carrots.
Well, no, you don't need to worry about it. It's really the metaphoric idea, though, is that you want to just be patient, observe in radical appreciation of just the beingness of where life's growth, the appreciation of watching the expansion of life happen, watching the cultivation of creation. We're here to co-create together, and that's why community is important. If we're working together as a team, we're co-creating, and maybe you've got someone on your team who's going to say, I probably wouldn't pluck that carrot if I were you. And that's what Stacie pops in as a Taya coach, because she's like, I'm kind of thinking that maybe if you just look at the carrot from over here, you might be able to see a better view. You know, I love analogies that have anything to do with nature itself, because nature shows us how to live. And if we stop and appreciate it long enough, we will actually learn everything that we need to do. And I love that you said go in nature at Neo. You brought that. That's awesome. You brought that up. I love that. And you're right. And you are correct. Of course, there's no right or wrong. So we're all right. Walt is also right. So if you pluck your carrot a little early and now you're frustrated because now you got to start over again, that's all right too. How did you learn from it? What did it show you? What did that moment of polarity give to you? Because you obviously manifested it because you needed to see it and learn. It's real, you know.
Louise has been a gardener for decades, literally for decades. And she started planting some tomatoes this year. She never tried to do tomatoes before. And she had a bunch of containers set up. And for some of them, she found after the fact that she had put the seeds in too deep. And for others, she had put them in too shallow and they weren't coming out just the way she wanted them. So she said, oh, okay, well, now I know what to do next time. She didn't flip out saying, oh, no, the beefsteak tomatoes didn't come out right. There were no cherry tomatoes. She didn't do that. She just said, oh, okay, well, I'll just do it differently next time. No big deal.
Glad she didn't yell at the tomatoes.
You mean to tell me she didn't run to Facebook and tell everyone in the world how horrible it turned out?
Her tomatoes are.
She may have bragged about it. I'm not sure, but
I love this conversation because I too have been an avid gardener since I was a child. I'm also a clinical herbalist. So I moved from Santa Barbara, which is a beautiful, tepid temperature coastal town. The sun shines. It's cool. It's lovely. Down to Woodland Hills in California. It's freaking desert, people. It gets up to 104 on a regular basis, right? And so just the relocating myself all at my own free will, I thought, okay, this is a good challenge for me. Now I'm going to be able to learn how to garden in a desert environment. Yeah, set up the things I thought would work, the plants that I thought might thrive. The drip system, blah, blah, blah. 2 years into it, I'm like, psh, that didn't work. But I learned so much.
Yes.
This herb thrives here. Lavender.
Yeah, don't try to grow green stuff in the desert. That was the number one lesson.
Hot peppers, you guys. My hot peppers are amazing. They're so hot. Tomatoes, nah, not so much. You know, so it's really interesting to learn how to adapt to the environment that you create and then find appreciation for the ways it works and doesn't work.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really good.
A bit of wisdom there.
That's actually a nice tie-in to the fact that there's the Taya Masterclass coming up. Why don't you talk about that a little bit? I'm going to put the link in the group live stream so people can see it. But talk about that a bit.
Yeah, so our masterclass is another level of joy and abundance. That's what we talk about over and over and over again. It's David Struckel's offering to general public. It's free, 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Jump on Zoom. The link's in the chat. Thank you very much, Walt. And we're going to talk about the principles of how you can take yourself from enjoying life to being in joy of your life all the time and starting to manifest more abundance in your life, whatever that looks like. If it's more tomatoes or more dollars, a relationship or a good health. We're going to start to give you some of the keys to unlock these things. David likes to refer to them as the 4 secrets. So I can't tell you about them yet.
Now I'm also going to put in the URL for Neo's because that's also the same day too. And you got to get that in there too. So it's neosloasummit.com. Got to make sure that you check out both of them. I mean, there's no reason why you can't drop it on both. Let's be perfectly honest.
Definitely.
What time is the Taya thing?
I said 3.
3?
Pacific
Yeah, so
time. So yeah, I'm gonna be gratefully. Thank you. Neo's so kind to invite me to speak, and then yesterday he was so kind to coach me through stuff that I've never done before. Thank you for your patience. I really appreciate you. And we just had a short rehearsal, and I was like, wow, there's some really powerful folk here. This is gonna be a load of fun.
Neo's summits are fabulous. They really are.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There's some great giveaways. I'm like, ooh, I want that. So realize you can really spend all day on Saturday just soaking up some
absolutely
awesome energy with the live, with the Summit Neo's putting on positivity and the live master classes. Just
And
going to be a great
there's
Saturday.
chunks of the country that are going to have, just here in the U.S. that are just going to have not great weather. So take advantage of it. Stay in and summitize. Do all these summits and classes.
Right? Don't vacation. Right? I like
that. Why not? Why not? Hey, there's something else I wanted to tie into also. Oh, yeah. Luke is asking, what time is your summit, Neil? You got to give us some times on that. Oh, you got to unmute.
I'm sorry, noon from 4 till 4 p.m. Eastern time.
All right. Okay. So there we go. So the thing I wanted to bring in was, Neil, you asked a moment ago, well, a few moments ago, perhaps, about what do you do? How do you help somebody who's really in a bad place? Particularly if they're in a heavy poverty place or something like that. And that's something we run into a lot in the world today. It's a very common phenomenon. And it's something that we all, those of us at least in conscious creator circles, have to kind of come face to face with at times. Like, how are we going to deal with this stuff? And the point that I wanted to bring up about it ties into something that Stacie said very much toward the beginning of the podcast. She talked about appreciation, particularly appreciation of transgressors, appreciation of things that are hard to appreciate. And I think it's probably the most difficult concept that exists in Taya, in conscious creation, in LOA circles, in all of it. How do you appreciate what you would normally not want to appreciate? Because that's the skill, that's the advanced skill. And when we learn that advanced skill, then we, among other things, we learn that, for instance, the people who are in those really miserable places are on a life path. They're on a life path that one way or another, they put themselves there. And there's a reason they're going through it. And there's some good stuff that's coming out of that life path. Even though from the outside, it looks pretty miserable, and it is pretty miserable, there's still good stuff coming out of that. So I think part of the answer that I give on the question you raised is, what can we do to appreciate where they're at? Because the more that we can do that, first of all, we're more at peace with what's going on with them. And second of all, I think we put ourselves into a better vibrational space where we're actually able to help them. Because as Abraham has pointed out, you really can't give to somebody when you don't have something to give them. But when you're in a high vibe space where you do have something to give, then you got something to give. And now it's just a question of whether they're willing to receive it.
I love the analogy that, when you're in an airplane and it's going to crash, you're going to grab your air mask first, and then assist someone else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And also, I live very much by the belief that I'm a soul who chose a specific journey. My journey is expansive and evolutionary to my own being. My being, my soul, is connected to the universe. The universe is connected to everybody else. By default, because I am doing this work to expand my consciousness, to expand my soul's experience, to evolve, awaken, whatever term you want to use, it is rippling out whether I'm aware of it or not. Standing in the space of my awareness, knowing that that's what I'm doing, that I am setting as an example the best practice I know how to appreciate the obstacles, to come into that space of appreciating and not judging anybody else's path, because we are all so unique.
We are.
And our souls are so unique in exactly what it is that we want to experience in life. That it's a blessing to be in this meat suit. You and I were talking about this yesterday too. It's like, oh, we got this meat suit here. Sometimes it rocks. Sometimes it's like, oh man, what the heck? Why did I pick this one?
Yeah, right.
I picked this one because of the great parts and the oh mans. So I just love that. It doesn't matter what I do. I'm expanding. My consciousness is becoming clearer. My awareness is becoming sharper. My ability to share that vibe, that feeling, that, and spread it, ripple that sucker on out.
And I know for myself, one of my biggest challenges for years, and I mean decades, has been, how do I find a way? I didn't even have wording for this until a couple of years ago. Up until then, it was just kind of like this amorphous thing that I couldn't ever describe. But now I at least have the wording for it. And that is, how do I find a way to appreciate somebody who is a perpetual victim in victim mindset? Because I mean, my heart goes out to that person. And I see so many who are in that mindset. And that's been a transgressor for me to detune in a big way. And I'm still working on that one. But what I have come to realize is, first of all, It's not my job. It's their job. Second of all, they really do have the answer internally. And that's the hardest one for me, is trusting they actually do have the answer internally. Because I so much want to go rescue them. I really do.
Yeah, that codependent people pleasing and people saving just doesn't work anymore.
No.
Don't do that.
No.
Well, I love this. And what Stacie, I think what I heard her say and what I'm hearing is that we're all a spark of the divine. We're all an expression of source having a chosen experience. So if we can appreciate that person, can you see them through the eyes of source? Something you learn in Taya as well. Can you observe them and see them as a whole divine creation, not broken, not needing to be fixed?
Right.
Period. Nothing more, nothing less. Can you love them where they're at without judging them where they're at? Can you really deeply love them? See, this is what I believe. How we diffuse is by loving and appreciating people when they forget how to love and appreciate themselves. And we were designed by society to go in and judge them. And then if you grew up like I did, to want to go in and fix them or trauma bond with them. Oh, I'll get you in a better women shout. Oh, no, don't do that. You know, those old trauma bonding moments, those old moments, things are different now. And now it's time to show it for people with your heart connection and mind heart coherence and deeply stepping into that. When you're sending love to somebody who's in a really bad space without speaking, your energy, your aura, your everything is going to filter right over into it and start bringing the situation to a calmness. You have that power to create an experience and to mold it and to change the energy and the vibration of what's happening. But we do it with a simple thing, and that's by loving people truly. That's what I think.
Can I touch on this a little bit?
Yeah.
In most situations, I try to ask myself, as soon as I can remember, to ask myself, what did I do to manifest this situation into my life? I contributed somehow to this. And that's an acceptance thing. You have to accept that before you can get started. You guys know that. But in order to help people in these situations, it's like this. I could fix your car and hand you the keys and you go away. Or I could show you every nut and bolt on that car. So if something happens, you know how to take care of it yourself before you come back to me for a total reboot. And so I like to ask people, I wrote it down here. I listen to them complain about one or two or whatever many situations. And I say, wow, you've been thinking about that a lot, haven't you? And like, man, all day long, I can't stop thinking about it. And I'm like, what was that? All day long, you can't stop thinking about it. Thoughts become things. Like, I keep trying to tell you this. And that's how I kind of get that through to them. So now immediately they can place in their minds why it's happening, because they've been thinking about it all day, every day. So that's that problem has kind of not been solved, but it's understood. So now the problem becomes and immediately shifts to, how do I stop thinking about that all day? Now that's a question people can answer easily, because everybody can snap themselves out of any thought. Now you've given them a level of confidence in this situation that they didn't have before. And you've redirected the problem from what's happening outside of them to what's going on inside of them. And that's how they're going to get real answers, real solutions, is by looking within. And so that's how I try to take them on that. And then, that's what I have written down. Redirect. It's like
I got a question. This is off the subject. What is the necklace you're wearing, Neo?
It's just the Superman. I always have Superman around my neck.
No. This is I want to tell you. No. This is great. I got to tell you why it's great. And I love what you said, by the way. I think that's beautiful. And I love all of everybody's input here, and whoever's listening. Now listen to this. So I have a friend of mine who, it was his birthday. And I was in the store and I'm like, I don't even know. I'm in the department store. I don't even know. I know what I'm getting him. But then all of a sudden I saw this Superman necklace. And I went, Spirit spoke to me and said, you're going to buy that. I'm like, huh? What? And then I'm like, oh. So what I love about it is that it's a symbol. You can reach up and remind yourself of who that you are all the time. And I saw it and I'm like, is he wearing a Superman necklace? And I just dig it because I know that somebody else is wearing one right now for that same reason. And I love this. And all of you gentlemen out there should be wearing Superman necklaces and reminding yourself of the power within you. Period. Just because.
This is my cheat code because it's all about collective energy. You can think what you want about yourself, but other people are contributing to your future as well. I went under anesthesia once. When I came, I was wearing Superman pajama pants. When I came out, everybody, hey, Superman, hey, Superman. And I said, wow, I would like for everyone, as soon as they look at me, for their first thought to be, hey, Superman.
I love it.
And ever since then, I've had this on. My son, I named him Amor because I want everyone to immediately think about love every time they say his name. And so that's the whole reason why I wear this. And that's the reason why I named him that, is for collective energy, selfish, winning solution to that.
That is fabulous. I love that. That is really, really good. I'm glad you brought that up, Debbie. I didn't realize that's what that was. So thank you. Appreciate the
for sure. Well, I recognize it because it looks almost identical, except yours looks blue and the other's is gold. There's no, I just love it. Is it blue or blue?
No, it's just normal silver.
It's normal silver.
It's
Okay.
just the way the lights hit
Y'all
there.
just, so seriously, like that is just, I love it. It just tickles my fancy how we all get this memo. There's no original thought, guys. We all get the memo. Now, who's going to act on it? Who's going to remember their power? Get out there and do that thing and quit worrying about that someone's going to steal your idea. It's seriously impossible. Be a Superman in your own life. Don't worry about what's happening outside of you.
That's great advice. Absolutely great advice. So, okay, before we lose Stacie for the day, because I mean, this is the Stacie return. This is the Stacie sequel. So we got to bring in one more thing about Stacie here. Now, of course, I associate with Stacie with Taya. I think everybody who knows her associates her with Taya. But there's more to Stacie than Taya. What, Stacie? Talk a little bit about Stacie outside of Taya. What is Stacie? I mean, you mentioned that you're an herbalist, but who is Stacie outside of Taya? Because I only know you pretty much through Taya.
That's so interesting. So we've been going through building a coaching course and having everybody apply to our Taya business. And I've asked folks for their resume because I'm curious, what do you do? Who else are you besides the face that shows up on the Zoom meetings for the boot camp meetings? You know, it's like, okay, so me, Southern California, born and raised. Spoiled, been on the beach my entire life. I admit it, I have a blessed life. I am, let's see, nature lover at the top. I do backpacking. My husband and I will do through hikes, which is anywhere from 100 miles up for, you know, carrying your entire life on your back. He's getting ready to hike the Pacific Crest Trail next year. And I'm super excited for him. I'm going to shadow him along. We also have a nice little trailer. So we're nature bunnies. We love to be outside. I love to be in the ocean or in the mountains. Herbalism came very much naturally to me because I had tortured my daughter, who's now in her early 20s, with various herbal remedies as she was growing up. So that's on top of being I've done massage, deep tissue, energy work, sound healing, psychic stuff. I'm also a former paralegal. I have a background in real estate and corporate formation, landlord-tenant law. I'm a financial whiz. So, yeah, wow. It's lots of hats. And I love knowledge. I love
So we're going to have you back to explain all of that because we can't do that in 1 minute. There's so much there. There's so much meat on that bone. So
I love knowledge. So I'll accumulate, and you know, if it's interesting to me, then I'll go that direction. I used to walk down my favorite bookstore aisle, and I would just wait. I'd walk down the aisle and I'd wait, and sure enough, some book would fall off the shelf and hit me. And every time I'd just pick it up and walk out the store with it and start reading it and studying whatever the universe handed to me. So it's been a great journey.
Okay, so you got to promise take the Calendly link, click another date. You got to come back and you got to tell us all this other stuff too, because there's just not enough to do not enough time in 2 shows to cover who Stacie is. All right.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you.
All right. So this
hold
weekend.
Hold up, you got to tell me the name of that bookstore because somebody was pushing books from the other side at you every time you went in there. Some guy that had a crush on you in the back. Hey, she books on her.
Love it.
So tomorrow it's Neil's LOA Summit. Tomorrow is Taya Masterclass. Be there for both of them. They are going to make a wonderful day for you. And this has been a wonderful day for us. Thank you, Stacie. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Neil. Thank you for all your wonderful contributions. We love every single one of you. And thank you especially to our podcast listeners everywhere. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.